Hi, and welcome to the Scenic Route podcast. This is the show for building a successful and sustainable business on your terms. My name is Jen, and I'm a rebranding sociologist with a soft spot for rhubarb pie. Each week, I'll strive to expand your branding, business expertise, and mindset capacity. I'm so excited you're here, and now let's get into today's episode. Mariam Safla is a shadow transformational coach and energy healer, aka a ghostbuster. She has done extensive transformation work on herself for more than 20 years and has unleashed her unique healing gifts and using them for in her business, supporting clients internationally. She helps in spiritual entrepreneurs to bring their dark shadows and ego patterns into the light and bringing awareness to see things from a higher perspective so that they can uncover the message in their mess and lessons in their oppression. She thrives in supporting them to heal the ancestral curse that is making them play small, hide their gifts, and prevent them from fulfilling their true calling. She believes in healing your karma to live your pharma. Today on the Scenic Route podcast, I'm welcoming Mariam Safla. Mariam, how are you?
Hi, Jennifer. I'm good, and how are you?
Thank you. I'm fine too. So for everyone listening now, can you briefly walk us through your story, how you started and how you got where you are today? What are the pivotal crossroads, the big moments in your story?
Okay, so I'm a spiritual coach, a transformational coach, and I started my journey first with a lot of inner transformation. So it came a turning point in my life where I noticed that the patterns that were playing in my life were my parents' patterns. So I stopped blaming my husband and saying, oh, why he's doing this to me or what. But instead I said, this is my same role my mom had. And that was my big turning point. When I decided to turn inwards, that something is happening inside me. And that's when doors opened up for me. When I say doors to the healing and coaching and transformational world. So I started my self-love journey and Louis Hayes, and I did a lot of journey work. So where you go into your cellular memories and you uncover all those memories that in childhood, that trauma, your childhood trauma, your inner child. And I did a lot of forgiveness work.
That's
Majority
beautiful.
part of my life was done on forgiveness work.
Wow.
And it was very nice, but I also found that there was still something missing. My challenge as an empath was as an empath, which I did not know. Maybe only 4 or 5 years now I found out that I'm an empath, but then was to do with a lot of absorbing negative energy. So even though I was doing the transformational work, the forgiveness work, the inner child work,
new stuff would always come into your field.
Energy, absorbing and stuck and brain fog and no focus and no direction and no energy and no drive. So what's happening? You're doing self-love, you're doing forgiveness work, but what's happening? And that's when I was guided to energy work. And I became an energy healer. And I got certified in energy healing modalities.
Beautiful.
And that's when I started now with at the traumatic time in your childhood, you need to remember there is stuck energy. Fear itself is frozen energy asking to be released. The acronym, it's energy, it's stuck. So it's only when I started working with the stuck energy and I started doing the energy work, opening up my chakras, my energy centers, bringing flow in that way, because now the trauma was out of the cells, but the energy was still stuck.
Yeah, it was the remembrance. I mean, it's out of the cells, but it's kind of like the remembrance of the cells lingers on.
Yes. And that was where the energy work came with it. And it opened up a lot. Brain fog opened. I really became free from a lot of my challenges with my in-laws and stuff like that. Because always feeling that they are attacking you or whatever. And, people are trying to harm you.
Yeah.
It really helped.
I assume also starting to feel resentful.
Yes.
Right?
So it really helped bring peace instead of still having those same patterns. But what I noticed as I was going is when I started my coaching practice, my healing practice, I started it with an on-person practice at home. I started it. That's when I noticed that there was still something that I needed to do, where it was that I was working with the clients, but what I wasn't doing was, it was like they were still staying stuck in one position. Same with me as well. Although I had released all this inner turmoil and made peace, I was still stuck. I wasn't really making progress in my life. I wasn't achieving things.
So you set goals for yourself and you didn't achieve them, or how did that feeling of stuckness show up for you?
So basically, it's because I never understood the meaning of setting goals. And I never understood that. And I never knew how to set goals. So what happened was I got drawn to life coaching. And life coaching is all about that. It helps you to find a direction.
Goal, meaning, purpose, accountability.
Yes. And that's when I started my online practice, and it just started growing. Life coaching really brought me into saying, yes, I want to take my client from year to year. I want to set goals for them. And I kept on moving. And in that way, I came online and I worked on my business, which took me years to come right with it. And then I finally got it right, where I finally now it's not where we can talk more about is the spiritual part, where as a spiritual entrepreneur, you're not about like achieving things, you're all about transformation.
Yes, beautiful.
So that's what's when I got that, is that I need to create I'm not going to sell my modality. Oh yeah, I'm going to do a journey for you. I'm going to do an NLP for you. I'm going to do EFT for you. No, I'm selling a transformation.
Yes, the tool, the modality that is used will present itself once you're clear about the transformation and clear where the client is at and where she wants to go. Yes. The modality will present itself.
Yes, it's not your modality.
Yes, that's the same how I approach when clients come to me. That's so funny. That's the same thing how I'll approach brand strategy, right? When people come to me like, oh, I want to do Instagram, or I want to do TikTok. Like, well, slow down. Let's see where your business is, where your clients are, and where you want to be. And then the channels, the modalities, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, will present itself. It will be the logical conclusion of what to do next.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And my aspect on that as well, which has also advanced as well, is that when you're doing your TikTok and your Instagram, it's all about now, once you helping with the client with the transformation, and now, okay, it's not about the client now, it's about you showing up on Instagram and TikTok. What happens is you need to be clear on your message.
Yes.
On what is the topic, what is the message, what is the transformation that you are providing.
But I feel that's especially hard, and I know this, right? Like when you're not just doing a service like copywriting, when it is a lot about energy work and healing, it's hard to describe what you do, I think, in a way that speaks and resonates to people. How do you feel about that? How do you approach that?
Now, that's where my speciality is. So my speciality is helping you to take your greatest mess and uncover the message in it.
Ooh.
So my programs are created in that way. So we work on that mess of yours. And that mess, the more deeper we go, we uncover that message. So you get so clear on what your message is.
Yeah.
You get so clear, and then you start focusing your energy. And the more inner work you do, the more your message evolves and gets, it doesn't evolve into something new, it evolves into a higher vibration.
Yes, it's exactly, it's not, you're not becoming it's not something different of you. It's just a part of you, another part of you.
Yeah.
I
And
like
my
that.
thing is there's a seed that you came with from the soul world.
Mm-hmm.
And that seed now needs to be planted. That is
Taken
the
care of,
message.
watered.
That's the message.
Yeah.
That seed. You need to plant it. You came with it from the soul world, from, higher, and you came onto this lower vibrational
Yeah.
earth. Now you've got to take that seed and you've got to plant it. And now from there, you've got to stay true to it. Now, our problem is distraction. We're seeing what everyone else is doing,
Yes.
and we get distracted from nourishing that seed of ours. And that one that is that special seed of ours that we need to share with the world and give to the world of our gift, our seed, our gift, our
Purpose.
talent, our purpose, whatever word you want to use, your dharma,
Mm-hmm.
your calling, your soul calling. That is now we run away from it. We just keep running away from it. We cannot stay true to it.
Do you think that's solely because of the distractions, or do you see other reasons that keep us running away from our seeds?
So for me now, I can't speak for everybody, but as a spiritual entrepreneur, for me now working with my clients and working with myself, one of the main reasons that we do run away from it is that fear of sharing our gifts. So it's like the spiritual entrepreneurs are people that also have this nature of helping a lot. But basically, it's not got to do about the helping. It's got to do with this. They have gifts in them, and they coming in their DNA, in their cells, in their ancestral lineage. They coming with witch wounds, soul patterns of witch wounds of being persecuted and harmed for sharing their healing gifts. It's not only healers and light workers, it's also creatives. You see, many creatives can't do creative work because of that. Creative work was not looked as something good. You were not doing something good. There's no money in creative work.
Yeah, so there's a fear of shame.
Fear of shame.
Also a fear, I assume a fear of if you reveal your true self and you're not being heard and understood.
Yes, that's
Fear
what
of
I found.
rejection.
Fear of rejection, fear of not being accepted for who you are, not being true to not accepted. So like, I'm seeing a client that I had and her father giving her the energy that, what are you doing? And she had to hide and write her poetry, which she loved so much because her father would not accept it. That's no money in that. What are you doing? You need to be in the business, the financial, the bank stuff, and so, things like that. So that is one of the reasons I feel is that we're carrying witch wounds in us. So my method of working, I can access soul records. So I can access clients' soul patterns. I believe you must work on that level and heal. Work on that level of your soul patterns that you're carrying from your ancestral lineage, your generational wounds, and work on that to heal. And that's when we can really uncover and heal it and then see the patterns of how you hid it in this earthly life as well and break free from it.
Yeah, similar like how you came to your big realization in your story, right? Like that you're kind of repeating, you're becoming your mother in ways, right?
Yeah.
Seeing you repeating the patterns
True.
unconsciously. So and then makes sense that you try to start the healing at the source of it and not out on the ripples, but narrowing it down to the source.
Yeah. So that's where I work with. I like to work on that stage and then we heal it in that way.
So how do you personally understand spirituality?
For me, spirituality is all about, it's about living from spirit. If you look at spirituality, is your spirit in you. So you have a spirit that came from the soul world that was so free, full of love, full of playfulness, full of joy, full of creativity, full of enthusiasm, full of kindness, full of compassion. And then your traumatic experience in life disconnected you from your true spirit. So then you created your ego, your shadows. You wanted to speak about shadows, and that's when we created our shadows. And we have an ego as well.
Yeah.
And the shadow aspects of ourselves starts living and not our true spirit.
Oh,
So
wow.
all spirituality for me is healing those shadows, parts of you, those false selves of you, so that now you can start living from your true spirit, from the true person. And it's the divine qualities of source, the universe, compassion, love, freedom, creativity, kindness. It's living. So where you got disconnected from that.
I'm wondering, before we go into shadow work, because that's really interesting, how you build shadows of yourself. Do you see a difference between spirituality and being religious?
Seeing a difference is a very big difference, very, very big difference, because I've got both sides in me. I come from a very, very religious background, and I'm also true to my religious background. And I've got a very spiritual background, and I'm very true to my spiritual background. And the difference is that religion wants you to obey God, and everything is done on an outside way. It's all outside. But when it comes to spirituality, for me, it was the journey inwards.
Yeah.
And I was really looking for that. So there is a place for the outward practices, which still has a place in my life. Prayer, reading the Holy Scriptures. There's so much beauty in it. It really adds inner peace to you. But when it comes to the real truth of the spiritual journey, the oneness, the unity, not seeing others as different from you, growing into that is all spirituality, which, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't like to judge and say, oh, religion and spiritual. It's not for me. That
No, God, it's really not about judging. It's about how both can play a role in your life, how both can be present. That they're not ruling each other out.
Yeah, I'm coming from that place.
I love it. So let's go back to the shadow work. I feel that was so interesting. Like, so shadows are parts of ourselves that we've hidden. They almost become their own person, and that's the shadow self. Okay? So how can that show up in our businesses when we doing our clients' work, our clients' callings? How did you experience those shadows show up and manifest itself?
Okay, so what's showing up for me first is I worked with a client who had this need where, you see, your shadow is created. Firstly, it's very important to know your shadow is created at a traumatic time. And at that time, it's created when you make a decision. That's why decisions are so important. A decision can either make you or break you. It directs your part of life going forward. The decisions you made are the reason for the part your life has taken. So if you want to change that part of your life, your path is going on this way and you can't understand why you're going this, what is happening to you in your life. If you have to go back and roll the camera back, it will come to a point when you made a decision.
Yes. Is it always a conscious decision, or is it also a subconscious decision?
Now, say, for example, at a traumatic time, you needed support and nobody was there to support you. And all of a sudden you made this decision, from now on, I'll do everything myself. I will never rely on
I have to do it anyway by myself. So I'm rather so that's the story that got
You were
planted.
so angry. You were angry at that moment. It was a very sensitive moment. Your father had died and your brother didn't come for support and you needed that and you felt so lost and it was so traumatic for you. It was not in this thing, and you made a decision from that point. That is the day the shadow gets created.
So is the shadow a protection mechanism gone bad?
So if you say it's a protective mechanism, it's a protective mechanism that you created to support your decision. So in this instance where you see the shadow was created, so you can imagine it as another part of you that is out of your body now.
Okay.
So there's two people now. There is you, who was the nice girl, who was everything, and all of a sudden this part of you came out and said, from now on, I will not ask for support anymore. I'll do everything myself. And you start living your life from that person. That is not, it's heavy. I will never ask for support. I'll do things my own. Can you feel the energy?
Yeah, it's the pushing through. It's the resentment, the hurt, the grief. Yeah.
Yes. So that is where the shadow integration happens. So before you can integrate the shadow, you have got to heal the traumatic memory. You've got to make peace with that uncle or that father or that brother that didn't do for you or whatever it was in that in case. You've got to heal the inner child first. You've got to make her forgive herself and forgive. And then you can now surrender the shadow. You've got to kindly go to the shadow and ask the shadow to, if it's willing to now take a better role. It's done with love, kindness. I use a lot of Ho'oponopono.
So you're trying to integrate your shadow back into your spiritual, spiritual being.
It's you. It's got you separated. Yeah. You bring it back, but you bring it now to say, you no more act from that way. You do, and you have to support it to start performing in a more, I call it a healthier way. So it's, you develop a healthier way of being moving forward. That's when you integrate your shadow.
How do you start? I mean, the first part is also I suppose, to start recognizing that that you have shadows. Like, I assume most of us have one or two or three or four.
Yes, we do. We do.
How do you look for that? Like, is it when you feel stuck, when you feel there's something blocking you from getting what you desire? What are the telltale signs to be like, oh, maybe I should look at my inner child wound, at my shadow self?
I feel it's when things are repeating itself. Ooh. Things are not changing for you. It is that same pattern.
So although you're doing a lot of work, a lot of healing, you see certain patterns keep on repeating.
Yeah, like you'll find healers and people who are doing, says, I'm still in the same place. I've done so much of healing work, but I'm still in. And that's when you know now shadow work is now needed, because you haven't. So that's what I would say for myself, that I found the most progress, and my clients too are finding true freedom is after integrating their shadows, which they never thought healing was possible ever before, until they integrating shadows. And I make sure shadow is like a very important aspect of because for me, spirituality is all about bringing the dark into the light so that the light can now. And it's all about becoming an instrument to be of service, like your clear channel, so that whatever God wanted to serve through you.
What your seed is.
Yeah.
I mean, you need light. I mean, it makes sense, right? You need light for your seed to grow. So if your seed is encompassed in darkness, it's not going to grow.
Wow.
Or not as fast.
Thank you. I like that. It's such a nice way of saying it. That light that you have is what is going to. So you have to keep integrating your dark side. So that's why I say you have to keep working, doing your inner work, so that you can bring out more light in you. And that's how you're going to bring more impact in the world with your message.
Oh, that's so powerful. Especially because it shows you have all you need. You don't need anything else. You don't need someone to bring you the light, or to bring you the seed, or to bring you the water, the soil, whatever. You already have everything. It's more of cultivating it and taking care of it.
Wow, yes. And it's so nice to come from that space.
Yes, yes.
And why are we looking outside, looking for this program and that cause and that, when all we need to do is going in and finding everything. So that is why spiritual entrepreneurs, working with them is so good, because they are the ones that have gifted to give you that transformation. And we look at business coaches all the time, and we're willing to pay 12K, 10K, 100K for those. But when it comes to the spiritual entrepreneurs, where the real, and that's where the transformation, that is where the light to live.
Yeah, I feel a part of that, it goes back to what we said earlier and what you said, like, it's your strong suit, right? Business coaches are very good at marketing because it's very clear transformation from 0 revenue to 100K revenue, where, okay, clear transformation. Obviously, everything that goes into it, from energetics and now all that, they just like, oh, well, kind of like, we're not going to talk about that, but transformation here, money, right? And that's where I see a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs I work with having a hard time. They come from, although they know they are brilliant at what they do, they come from a very humble way of living, of saying, look, I show the modality to clients, I work with them through that, but at the end of the day, the transformation, it's done by the client, for the client. So the grace, the thanks, belongs to the client. And I'm a part of it. I am grateful and thankful for that, and I deserve to be compensated for this part.
Yeah.
But you cannot force your clients to change, to transform. So I feel that's with some, this is kind of this attitude, which is rightly so, and a very respectful way of seeing how you do business. It kind of hurts how they market themselves. What would you, how do you see that?
It does hurt too a lot, because the reason being is that you see that they're not talking, they're putting the client's focus outwards. See, you're going to have this, see, you're going to have that. In that way, the client is now, looking at outside, and it's never, as we saw, the seed is inside.
Yes.
So even if you want to market the business, I wanted to correct myself. Business coaching is very important. It is as if the spiritual and the business go hand in hand. I couldn't create my business without the business
you need
coaching
both.
that I got. But it got to do with also to know that the business coach is also looking at what is important for the client, staying in her,
for the soul work of the client,
keeping her in her seat, and not putting the client in the business coach's seat, keeping her true to.
Yes, and that's what happens in so much of the online business world, right? Where you sell the blueprint, the framework, the whatever quick fix. Whereas, yes, those are strategies and tactics, and they all work for some people during certain times. It's not saying, oh, I'm just going to follow the strategy, follow this blueprint, and then...
Doesn't.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to spiritual entrepreneurs also, or maybe all as well, it's also got to do with they carry a lot of trauma, a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of fears. So it's also, you've got to take them there. And that's where they use mindset. Business coaches use mindset, and it's very good. So I'm just going to take an example of charging as well. For a spiritual entrepreneur, charging is not for like how a business coach, they already know it's okay to have money. They in the business world, they know about money, and money
is
like
the currency. This is
it's
the system.
But for a spiritual person, money and spiritual work, the clash there. I can't charge for my spiritual work. That is the foundation of spiritual people. They've got such core wounds of not able to charge, and to break through that is not easy. It's not going to be just one small mindset. They need to go into the soul pattern, where you have the wounds, you have the witch wounds. Oh, you're not allowed to charge. Why are you charging? These are services of God, the service. How can you, all that they need to heal.
And it's really, it's quite a juxtaposition, right? At one hand, you have on one side of the witch wound, you have like, oh, you're not even allowed to perform the service. It's witchcraft, right?
Yes.
And on the other hand, like the same thing, the other side of the coin, if you flip it, you have like, oh, this is a gift from God. How dare you charge for it?
Can you see?
Yeah. So that juxtaposition is maddening.
And
Yeah.
imagine helping the person to really break free from that. And you're growing. So one of the abundance blocks is you're not allowed to charge for your work. So that is something that you're going to help your clients, like working with my clients, that because now I'm not only doing transformational work for them, I also want them to now serve their message into the world. They can't serve the message if they're not going to charge for it.
No, like we want everyone who does important work to feel validated, to feel taken care of, to have what they desire, whatever that means.
Yes.
Whatever it is for them, right? Like whatever lifestyle they want to build for themselves, that's okay.
Yes. So breaking free from that belief that I'm not allowed to charge, breaking free from that pain of hiding their gifts because they're going to be persecuted for it. These are the things that spiritual entrepreneurs need to break, and they need to work with it on a soul level so that they free from it, and they start sharing the gifts and start charging, knowing. For me, spiritual enlightenment means also when it comes to your when they say now you're not God, or you're doing for God and you're supposed to not charge. But for me, it's like even your desires that you have, is your deep desire, is only God's desire for you. So if you have that desire to live that life, it's God wants to express that desire into this world. And then you come and you say, no, I'm not allowed to. I have to live a spiritual life. But your desire, where it came from, that seed only came from somewhere. And that seed wants that seed of desire. Even I'm talking about not my message here. I'm talking about a desire
Yes.
of traveling, a desire of living in that lovely house with the beautiful garden.
Or by the sea, or in a mountain, or in a city, or whatever it is.
It's that
It's individual for
expression,
everyone.
God's expression through us, and He wants to express through that desire, and we block it. We come and stand in our way. Religion comes into place. Culture comes into place. Society, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to end your traumatic beliefs of your ancestors, where they made decisions that I won't be successful, and you're not supposed to be successful, and if you're successful, people will harm you, and so it comes with so
all the
much.
stories that come up. So could we say, I'm curious what you think, so could we say having a strong desire, however out there and far away it seems to you, it is something that you will achieve, that you're allowed to have, because otherwise you would not have this desire?
Yes, you allowed, and it's only you. That's why they keep saying it's only you.
And it's possible, like it's yours because you already feel it.
Very true. And as I said, is because we standing in our own way when we say we're not. So we've got to get out of the way and let that desire form into let it. Give us permission to be successful. Give us permission to have that dream. But it's not done from ego. It's done from...
Yes. And if you know you only have this desire because it is yours, and it is yours to be and to come into being. This is also maybe for everyone listening, a really great way of how to detach from outcomes, right? It's already yours.
Wow.
And the timeline is the timeline. It will happen when it happens. But you having this desire is showing that it will come.
Yes, and that's the scenic route that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is the scene, the way you are not attached to the outcome, and you're just enjoying knowing that is your desire and it's going to come. You're just enjoying enjoying the route, enjoying the movement that it's going towards.
Yeah, taking one step at a time. Oh, I love this.
I too. Thank you.
Much. I love this so much. Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. I love this.
Oh, it really was.
Like, I feel we all need to kind of sit with this.
Mm.
Like, take a deep breath. Like, I just had a little shudder.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, if we can also have a more practical understanding of how you approach shadow work and how this looks like.
When you say practical approach, what exactly you want? What
Mm,
would you feel the audience will benefit most from? What could
I,
we give them that they will really, we could even do some.
oh, yeah. Ooh.
Let's see what way we
Ooh.
can give them that they would really.
Because I was thinking, when you say, oh, I like when people say, oh, my modality is NLP or yoga or something or timeline therapy, some people have an understanding of what's going to happen.
Right.
Or when you have tarot or oracle cards or whatever, people are like having some sort of idea of what's happening. And I feel with shadow work, or at least that's me. I'm like, I have no idea how that could like happen. I get the idea of it, but I have no idea how actually working on that would make me feel like.
Okay. So what is coming? I'm also a visionary, right? I see things.
Same. What do you see? I see colors.
In mine, I see visions. I just get vision. Like I got a picture of you, and I saw that when you were speaking about this now, what, like, you're trying to understand this. What is it? And I saw you are looking in front. Your vision is you're looking in front, but behind you are all these shadows. Like how our shadow in real life is in the side.
Yeah, like, hello.
Yes. So all these shadows. So now your focus is in the front. How are you ever going to know your shadow?
Yes.
So what will be the first step? The first
Look
step
back.
is to look inwards.
And
then you have to ask the question, what role I have in this? So shadow work is about taking responsibility. So it's not for everyone because not many want to take responsibility. So you can see when I said also looking, not looking at, oh, my mother did this to me. Oh, my father did this to me. Oh, my brother did this to me. It's not.
It's not blaming or.
You can only do shadow work is if you're willing to see how you are. What is the role you are playing? And the role you're playing, how you are responsible. I use the word responsible, which I notice clients don't like it. But it's basically the limiting beliefs, the patterns you have in you that is creating it. So it's not looked at something you did bad. So sometimes people are afraid to see that part of themselves. But you don't know that every shadow has such a beautiful gift in it. So here's another point I can tell you. To remind the person outside by looking at your shadow, you're going to uncover your true gifts. That gifts are what you're serving your healing modality within the world, your message with the world. I use healing modality, your coaching modality, your business modality, whatever it is. You're going to serve with that gift. So the light that comes out of the shadow becomes the gift that you give to the world. So that should also be a motivator to help you to turn back. Everything has a bigger purpose in it. So you see that bigger purpose. So if that helps, I would say.
That sounds really lovely.
Yeah, and then you need to work with a person who has done the shadow work themselves, who holds a non-judgmental place, who has the kindness, the compassion, and helps you to meet that shadow in a kind. It's not easy. I also do deep work. My bigger programs, my advanced programs goes to that ego. So these are just small shadows that I won't ask my father for support anymore. These are just small ones.
Our egos are nasty.
I do that work. That work is crazy work to work.
We're gonna talk about ego work on if you're joining us again for the Scenic Route podcast for advanced Scenic Route podcast episode on the ego.
That one is a heavy one.
I already feel shadow work is heavy.
Yeah, shadow work is still easy for me, very easy work. But the ego work is still hard for me.
Well, yeah.
It's trying to help them to change their whole personality type, which was they thought was serving them, and to go into another way is like, oh,
yeah, advanced stuff for sure.
yeah. But you see, all this brings into you the end reality of this, the end vision of it brings you from either you choosing, like how you're using the word as the scenic route. For me, the scenic route is that being from presence.
Yes.
Your true presence, always
Beautifully
connecting
said.
in. Yes, and that's it. You always standing with presence. You're connecting within yourself. You're seeing what's true for you. You know what you're following your guts. You're so connected because of you surrendered ego. You're not working with ego. You're so connected to this divine presence. You're so connected that everything in front of you, you get signs, you get answers. The universe just talks to you with
and you're able to interpret that for yourself.
Every animal you see, every flower you see, every number you see, everything is just talking to you. And you take actions in that.
Aligned with that.
Alignment. Yeah. For me, it's alignment. So that is why surrendering the ego, surrendering your shadows, working on them, brings in that presence, brings in that to connect to your true self, what you are, your true spirit, bringing that true spirit out in the world and aligning it to a higher mission, a higher purpose. And for me, it's your legacy work. Who doesn't want to leave the world leaving a legacy behind?
Yes. I love that. So how, if people are like, okay, this is really interesting, I want to know more about Mariam, how can people find you? Where do you which social media do you hang out the most? How can get people in contact with you?
Okay, I've got my website. You can always put
I will
the
link it in
link
the
in
show
it.
notes. Yes.
Yeah. My business name is normally H&B Zone, but my programs are called Magically Thrive programs. So you'll find me on Instagram at Magically Thrive. You'll find me also in Magically Thrive on Facebook, but here and there I also go as my business name as H&B Zone. So you know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. So far I am on YouTube a little, and yeah, basically that's where I'm hanging out a lot now, and my website. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna link that all in the show notes. And so before I let you go, I always have one last question because I'm always very curious and I need new material. Which book are you currently reading?
At the moment, what book I'm reading at the moment? Oh, I've got so many books opened on my app.
Same.
Yeah, but so basically it's like mostly my books that I go to is the Empowered Spirit. I go to a lot. I keep looking into that book. I keep looking into Wayne Dyer's books. And a lot of my work has got to do with the Enneagram.
What Enneagram are you?
I'm a number 2, the helper. So we have this spiritual people have this only to help, and there's a lot of, so my programs are geared into people who are spiritual people and they help, but they want to over help with the need to sacrifice their needs, their desires. They can't be true to themselves. They also empath, so they very people's decisions and all make them more do what others say than do for themselves. So basically, my program is to help you to live true to yourself and true to your higher purpose by helping you to release. It's called codependency traits. So it's working on that code of the need to overgive, overdo, and recover from them and stay true to you, true to your life purpose, true to making your life happy. As I said, that desire, that seed, that message, as well as the desire, stay true to that desire. Make that, not everyone.
Not look at other seeds.
Yeah. So basically it's that. Yeah. So
yeah, I love that. It wraps up beautifully. Like we said, like you have your seed and you have everything it takes to make it grow and prosper. And the only thing standing in the way as well is us.
Yes. And the darkness, as you said, we need the light. And the light comes from the inner work, healing and healing your shadow aspects. And the more you want to, more light, it's all depends on the light that you want, how ambitious you are about the light. So what type of spiritual seeker you are, that you want to, and then you keep working on your light where you have come to a stage to fully surrender your ego and become that true enlightened being that you truly desire.
That's beautiful. Well, Mariam, thank you so much for joining me on the Scenic Route podcast today. It was a beautiful episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. I appreciate this so much, and I really enjoyed you. You make it very easy to interviews are very
I'm
easy.
an Enneagram 7, so we're good to talk to.
Okay, that's what.
Thank you so much for listening to the Scenic Route podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and that you can take something from it that feels right to you. I'd be so grateful if you could share the Scenic Route podcast with others. As always, you can head over to scenicroutepodcast.com to check out all links and resources from today's episode. Oh, and while you're there, don't forget to download my free email course, Intuitive Branding Invitation, to teach you how you can successfully tune into your own brand frequency and rediscover your brand's unique gifts, strengths, and talents. So thanks again. Talk soon.